Hey, yo, Fro Wrestling Podcast listeners, help us out and click subscribe to show your support. While you're at it, if you are a Facebook user, since they are talking about how many billions of them there are around the world, check out the Titans of Podcasts and Wrestling fan group. It is available on Facebook. There are tons of podcasts, news, rumor sites, all kinds of opportunities for true diehard wrestling fans to find something of interest. Check that out, Titans of Podcasts and Wrestling. And while you're on Facebook, if you're sick and tired of paying $60, $70, $100 a year for the next wrestling video game, check out Wrestler Unstoppable, a free game, totally customizable. Create your wrestler, do scenes, do storylines, sign contracts, join companies, fight matches, make tag teams, win championships, create a career. It is an awesome, awesome game. While you're at it, check out our Patreon page. If you want to become a member of the Fro Wrestling Podcast family, we would love to have you. Go to patreon.com/Fro Wrestling Podcast. Get your name in the shout outs on our episodes. Become one of our Patreon members. We thank all of our loyal listeners either way, but if you want to become a special Patreon member, you can get early access to our different episodes when they go up onto the Patreon site. Hello everyone and welcome to this episode, again going live. It's becoming like a pattern of behavior here. I feel like the going live thing is a little easier for me. It's a lot quicker too. I don't have to wait for things to upload. Now the drawback is I used to kind of like having the music in the background when we were getting ready to do an episode. I kind of like that. I know I had some people who thought that that was corny or whatever. I enjoyed that. It kind of set the mood. But the going live thing makes it so my episodes are available immediately online and you can access them or get playback relatively quickly. So that's what we're doing again tonight. Tonight, by the way, is the last night. Tomorrow night at about 8:30, we'll be shutting down the voting for the second round of our Intercontinental Champion Tournament. Make sure you go to frowrestling.com and go to the vote page so that you can cast your vote for that. As we go through the show, feel free to call in. The Fro Wrestling Sound Off line is live. I have it pulled up on my monitor so I can see when you guys send questions, comments, concerns, or otherwise. We have a talk-to-text service. So what you do is you call in, you leave your message, it will convert it to text and pop it right up on the screen for me, and I can respond to your input immediately. That phone number is 267-642-1160. And I know I've had a lot more followers listening in from Facebook lately. Facebook friends, by all means, please give us a shout. We want to hear from you. I hope you guys understand, like I try to scour the sites and come up with as much content and news as I can. But all that being said, I still really love to hear from you guys. I'd love to see what you have to say. I've got some amazing loyal followers, and you guys make this all worthwhile. But you know what? You're just as big a part of the show as anything else. So give me a call. Leave one of those talk-to-text service messages so I can get your content into the episodes as we go through. And for those who haven't checked it out yet, the new website, frowrestling.com. It launched last week. It's been getting tons of traffic. Thank you to those who've been going to frowrestling.com. I really appreciate that. I didn't expect it to take off quite so quickly. I'm not complaining. I think that's awesome. You guys are such an awesome fan base. And for something that started out for me as just being a part-time thing, you know, maybe one day a week, this has become kind of a passion of mine. So thank you guys so much for making something that I'm excited about doing even more rewarding than I ever thought it could be. You guys are awesome. I'm going to jump right into different topics tonight. I'm going to start with the New Japan Pro Wrestling G1 Climax. I got a lot of messages in the last couple days. You can go to websites and you can keep up on the G1 Climax, but that doesn't necessarily help as much as actual analysis. Now, here's the issue. My subscription to the New Japan channel is not cooperating with me, so I cannot actually see the G1. So, like many of you, if you're really into it, I have to read about it online. What I will tell you is this. I'm noticing in the B block, Kazuchika Okada and Kenny Omega both are undefeated and have 6 points apiece. Now, you do have Evil and Minoru Suzuki both with 4 points right behind them, and after that, everybody's sitting at either 2 or 0. To me, this is a dead ringer that Okada and Omega will meet the final night of competition. The winner will be going into the championship, the G1 Climax Championship match, but this will be Okada versus Omega Part 3. And if you don't want to give Omega the championship, which for some reason New Japan seems to be reluctant to give Kenny Omega the New Japan Championship, the IWGP World Heavyweight Championship. If you're not going to give him the title, what you could do is give him the win here, which, you know, he lost at Wrestle Kingdom in January to Okada. Then they had their draw. It's time for Kenny Omega to get one of his wins. So now have Omega pick up the win here, let him go in and maybe lose the final match of the G1 Climax tournament, let somebody else challenge at Wrestle Kingdom. But in the process, it makes it so he and Okada are having an even score, and at some point, they're going to have to do something to put these two in a title picture once again. You've got the IWGP World Heavyweight Champion and the IWGP United States Champion really tearing the house down. So, what I would tell you guys, a lot of times the G1 Climax matches are available online 2 to 3 days after the match takes place. Check them out on YouTube. If you don't, can't find those, but check out their other matches. The one at Wrestle Kingdom 11 is insane off the charts, and obviously the hour draw, they could kind of dub that a 6.25 star match, highest rating ever for a match. It was phenomenal. So if you haven't seen those matches, check those out. I'll be curious to see what happens after tomorrow. Block A goes again. It's every day they rotate a different block. And then all the tag team matches that take place. Last night in night 6, there was a ton of action outside of the tournament. You had Makabe and Taguchi against Ibushi and Umino. Tomohiro Ishii and Yoshihashi were in action. So you have all these tag team matches. Bad Luck Fale, Chase Owens and Yujiro Takahashi took on Zack Sabre Jr., Taichi and Desperado. So a lot of alternative matches for the diehard New Japan fan to really sink your teeth into. And I just can't wait till... I love that Access Television has been bringing those kinds of matches to us a lot quicker lately. So, but that's where we stand right now. Okada and Omega in Block B, both sitting with 6 points. And right now, they are the only two really in the hunt to win this thing. Getting into some of the other news for the day, before I get into, as you guys know, I always do Raw and Smackdown. I do Raw Reflection and Smackdown Breakdown, but there is other news to be discussed. I'm going to get that out of the way first, and then we'll get into Raw and Smackdown. And one of the things I really want to talk about is Davey Richards. Davey Richards is now, apparently has severed ties with Global Force Wrestling, not on bad terms, but he apparently is going to focus his life and his energy on his career as a doctor. He is, he's been going to college for a very long time, trying to wrestle while going to college and be a husband and all the other duties that he fulfills, all while he's been completing his education. It's interesting to see him take that path, but more power to him. I'm glad he found something that he's very interested in and motivated by. It's kind of a loss for Impact Wrestling, which, by the way, that's the big news of the week, is they keep losing talent. So, Magnus, we said on our last episode, requested his release. They're not the only two leaving. Matt Morgan, who recently made a return to the company, also asked for his release. Now, the issue for me is that all three of these guys really could have been put in better positions on the show. They've been so gung-ho, die-hard, wanting to promote Alberto El Patron going against Bobby Lashley. And they're really doing a lot to try to really push LAX right now. But you've got so much talent you're not using. I know you guys heard me complain they don't use Robbie E at all, and I think he's talented. But it's not just him. It's all of these guys. Matt Morgan and Magnus came in. They were used on like 2 shows, and then they've been sitting on the sideline. It's obnoxious. Put Matt Morgan into a match. The Blueprint Matt Morgan is one of the best misused wrestlers in the last 15 years. He really has always had a lot to offer, and no one's really given him the right kind of push. So I'm going to move on to our next bit. Twitter war, possibly leading to SummerSlam. Now, I know a lot of people listening to this podcast right now watched SmackDown tonight, so you have an idea of what may happen at SummerSlam. But I'm just going to give you this. There is a Twitter war heating up between John Cena and Roman Reigns. They've been going back and forth after Cena was bragging about his victory at Battleground. Roman Reigns kind of gave him some attitude, talked about him coming to Raw. It's his yard. Cena telling him to step up. I mean, it's a great exchange back and forth. And here's the thing. I would love to see a John Cena versus Roman Reigns match for one reason, if nothing else. Get them both away from the championship picture. I don't want to see either one of them challenging for a title. And the issue is, it's not going to happen at SummerSlam. Because as we all know, now Roman Reigns is involved in that fatal 4-way. But laying the groundwork for a future feud. John Cena versus Roman Reigns should be a main event of a pay-per-view sooner rather than later. We'll get into some more discussion about the SummerSlam card momentarily, because there's some other craziness going on there, but I'm really anxious to see this thing between Reigns and Cena, if we can, sooner than later. Word is that Battleground had a last-minute finish, changed it all day long and all week long. Vince and the creative team were going back and forth on who was going to win the United States Championship match, and it wasn't until moments before the match actually went live that AJ Styles they decided he was going to lose and drop the title. And fans are saying there's actually video and there's pictures online of AJ Styles didn't even leave the ring until Jinder Mahal's music hit. You know, he was so frustrated, kicking stuff, kicked the steps, really frustrated. And you got to wonder, like, how much of that is real? You know, because he could be very frustrated that yet again the booking in WWE is so sporadic and last minute. Like, that's the kind of stuff that buried WCW back in the day. You gotta have good long-term booking. And if we're gonna keep seeing every single week where they make these storylines that have they look like they're going one way and then they change it up and it goes nowhere, it doesn't help the product. You know, why did you take the championship off Owens and put it on Styles at Madison Square Garden just to have him lose it back at Battleground, to have him lose it back a night later, at SmackDown, which, again, like I said, we'll get into in depth later. But bizarre booking. Really bizarre booking. It's just my opinion. Becky Lynch. She had an interview that was posted, I saw, on eWrestling News and WrestleZone, talking about what the different changes she'd like to see in the women's division. I don't think it was specifically talking about SmackDown. I think she meant in general the women's revolution. And two of the things that she really was big on was, one, something I'm very much in favor of to try to spice up the women's division, is women's tag team championships. For me personally, I think if there is a women's tag team champion, they should float between the two brands just because of the sheer limited number of quality female wrestlers they have on the roster. Unless after this, Mae Young Classic, they want to bring in significantly more females. The other thing is she wants a TLC match for the women. You think about it, if you watch the Elimination Chamber, what am I talking about? If you watch the Money in the Bank, they were using the ladders. They were using the chairs. They had tables out. There's no reason you can't have a TLC match and put a championship on the line. I think that she is well within her respectable commentary to make such a request. I think it would really help the women's division. Possible opponents for Jinder Mahal at SummerSlam. For those who pay attention to ProWrestling.com, you'd see that I posted the topics for today's broadcast before SmackDown took place. So I'm saying that for a reason, because there's an article out today talking about Dave Meltzer was reporting on the Wrestling Observer that he believed that either John Cena would take on Jinder Mahal at SummerSlam or Shinsuke Nakamura. I don't honestly feel like Nakamura is ready for the World Championship or to be in a World Championship program. I also feel like John Cena going into that program is cramming him down our throat. I don't necessarily want to see that either. But that sounds like those are the two that are being rumored to face Mahal at SummerSlam. It'll be curious to see how they book it. We'll get into more of that a little later when we get to SmackDown, but that will be a very interesting situation. Going to move into Raw first, then we'll get to SmackDown. Raw, wow. What decent show, nothing too fabulous. I love the SummerSlam Universal title match being announced. I don't like tying up 4 talents in one match at one of your biggest shows of the year. So Braun Strowman, Roman Reigns, Brock Lesnar, and Samoa Joe for the Universal title. I actually expect someone to take the title from Brock Lesnar at this show. That, or if you've been watching the news, Brock has been added to a lot of house shows lately. He's a lot more prevalent on that circuit. Maybe they don't take the title off him. Maybe they leave it with Brock Lesnar for a few more months. I don't like that idea, but I could see that happening. But having a fatal 4-way, the nice thing about that is it really distances the winner from where they would have to be in reference to Brock Lesnar. You could easily have something going on with Braun and Lesnar outside the ring and have Joe sneak in and win the title or something. I pick whoever you want. I don't really care. But it'll be interesting to see how they book that, because that fatal 4-way, that's a lot of meat being thrown around the ring, and I'm not sure who they're going to put the championship on. Any one of the 4 would be fine with me. I think they all are deserving. Next part on Raw that I really wanted to talk about, Elias Sampson and Finn Balor. You get the chair, the guitar shot last week, which really should have set up something more substantial with Elias Sampson and Finn Balor. Then you get to the Bray Wyatt promo, which is totally out of place if you got this Sampson-Balor feud. Then this week, Sampson and Balor are back in the ring. Balor, and it's a one of those, no disqualification matches. And Sampson and Balor have a relatively respectable match. And right when Balor goes for the win, the lights go out and here's Bray Wyatt again. And Bray Wyatt ends up coming into the ring, and he lays out Balor with his sister Abigail, and Elias Sampson picks up the win. So now you're burying Finn Balor, only to put him into a feud with Bray Wyatt, who you've buried 1,000,000 times and then built up 1,000,000 times, just has 2 wins over Seth Rollins. But you're letting Elias Sampson get into the picture and pick up wins over people that really, at this stage of his career, he doesn't deserve to get. Just my opinion. I could be wrong. Macho Man reincarnated Elias Sampson. I'm never going to get over how much they look alike. But I was not a big fan of that segment. I really thought they should have ended the Elias Sampson-Finn Balor situation with a clean victory for Finn Balor, then have Bray Wyatt get involved, because then you can transition into that feud if that's what you want to do. But these feuds anymore, they need more closure, and they're not doing that, and it's really frustrating. Enzo and Cass, I want to get into that real quick. Obviously they're still trying to build Cass to be this monster 7-foot bad guy, but the problem is, unless he's in the ring with Enzo, and I saw other sites commentating on this too, he's just doesn't look like a bad guy. I know that's what they want, I know that's what they're pushing for, but that doesn't look like him. So I'm concerned that he's not going to get over, and he's going to end up getting buried on the roster if he can't get over. But he doesn't look angry when he's fighting with people. The only time he gets heat is when he's beating up Enzo, because Enzo's like a rag doll he throws around the ring. Otherwise, it's really tough for people to buy Cass as a bad guy. It's going to be curious to see. The rumor is he's going to face Big Show at SummerSlam. I think that's a horrible idea. Just do that on Raw. After twice getting in a physical altercation on Raw, just do it on Raw. So you can get that over with and move him into something more substantial at SummerSlam if you still want to push him as the monster bad guy heel. I'm still in favor of Enzo going heel and rejoining him. That's just what I would do, since obviously they're not using Enzo for anything else. If you don't do that, I would move Enzo to the Cruiserweight division and have him take that title from Neville. Because think about the storyline there. Enzo and Cass are a tag team for all that time, never get any gold. They break up because Cass is tired of never getting any gold. Enzo goes to the Cruiserweight division, knocks off the king of the Cruiserweights, and gets his first championship, and Cass is still left with none. Think about that booking, people. Tell me if you like that in the comments section on YouTube. Arya Daivari. Notice I skipped right over the Cruiserweight altercation between Tozawa and Neville, because I really don't care. That's been done to death already. Arya Daivari, I loved. He came out, he laid out Akira Tozawa, he laid out Neville. Arya Daivari looks awesome. And he really established himself as a threat to the championship on Raw. I really like what he did. Tonight on 205 Live, he picked up a win over Neville by countout. So they're really doing a great job. You guys notice, I never talk about 205 Live because there's never anything of any importance on there. It's all repeat matches from whatever we saw on Raw. But that match was actually pretty cool. Arya Daivari defeating Neville by countout. Bayley and Sasha Banks. Look, we saw this coming a long time ago. They get in the ring, they have their match. Bayley is going to pick up the win. It was a great match, really physical. The ladies, they really sold the whole Sasha Banks is willing to face her enemy or her friend instead of and whereas Bayley doesn't want to make her friend an enemy. I actually enjoyed the match quite a bit. I thought that Bayley looked believable. She looked genuinely upset throughout the match. She didn't want to face Sasha Banks. Sasha Banks, on the other hand, looked relatively smug, for lack of better terms. And I actually really enjoyed the match. And at the end, Bayley picks up the win. She will go on to face Alexa Bliss at SummerSlam. I'm still hoping that they find a way to turn that into a triple threat or a fatal four-way with Nia Jax and Sasha Banks. I actually think Sasha deserves to get the belt back, but I don't see that happening. But I really am afraid that they're going to put the belt back on Bayley, and I think it's too soon. I don't think she did a very good job with it the first time she had the title, and I don't think it's time for her to have another run with it just yet. Jason Jordan made his debut as a single star. The reason I brought this up is not because he and Kurt Angle's storyline is that important. It's because I actually really like the fact that Kurt Angle acts so happy about him being his quote-unquote kayfabe son. Whereas Jason Jordan, it looked so angry throughout his match. He looked like he was genuinely ticked off the entire match, and then at the very end popped on a smile, which I think could be part of the storyline. Is, you know, Angle's so proud and happy, and Jason Jordan's always grumpy, and that leads to dissension between Dad and his unknown son. You know, I have to wait and see how that plays out. I'm going to get to a part that I did not like, and that was the Revival versus Gallows and Anderson, which I have no problem with the match. I have a problem with how the match went down. It's like you buried the Hardys with Gallows and Anderson, then buried them again with the Revival. Now the Revival buries Gallows and Anderson, and we're supposed to buy that the Hardys are going to come back and face the Revival now. It doesn't make any sense unless you're going to make this a triple threat tag team match. Number one contenders to the tag titles. I don't think that's happening. I think they did something else really stupid with that while we were on Raw. I'll talk about that in a moment. But I actually love the Revival versus the Hardys. I really love the Revival versus Gallows and Anderson. But pick one and go with it, man. Like, you're killing me. You know, this is turning into the same issue we had with the tag team division back in January and February. It's the same 3 or 4 teams, and you just cycle through who faces who, and all the matches are boring and redone. Get through it. Pick a team, the Revival or Gallows and Anderson, and have them go against the Hardys and feud. When they're done, then do the other one. But this is a mishmash of tag team wrestling, and it's really quite frustrating, and it impacts the overall quality of the wrestling itself, which I'm never a big fan of. Seth Rollins and Dean Ambrose, they take on The Miz, Taraj, and The Miz in the main event in a 2-on-3 handicap tag team match. Decent match, solid performance. Rollins and Ambrose pick up the win. Really cool the way they handled the Miztourage. I actually think Curtis Axel is looking fantastic in the ring. I really think Bo Dallas isn't doing too bad either. I almost think they work better than the Miz right now in the ring, which is saying something because I've actually liked the way the Miz has wrestled lately. But the interesting thing here is that at the end of the match, after the Rollins and Ambrose win, Rollins sticks his fist out for the shield pose, and Ambrose blows him off pretty much and leaves the ring. Leaving, you know, there's a little doorway there where they're either going to bring them back together or they're going to have them feud, and I don't like either one of those options. One, you can't bring those two back and not bring back Roman Reigns also, and you can't bring Roman Reigns back because he's in a world title picture. Bringing just the two of them back, that's kind of stupid. That's what they did with Roman and Dean last year, and you saw where that ended up. You know, Roman Reigns got pushed to the gills, and you know, Dean Ambrose fell off the face of the planet for a little while there. So I'm not a big fan of that angle. What I did find interesting, and this is what I said I would get to in a moment, is that while this match was taking place, the World Tag Team Champions, the Raw Tag Team Champions, are in the back watching on the monitor, and they're watching Rollins and Ambrose. So you get a little bit of a hint there that maybe the Revival and the Hardys will preoccupy that segment of the tag team division for a little while, and perhaps the way you bring Rollins and Ambrose back together is by giving them a shot at the Raw Tag Team Championships. They're a strong enough tag team that they could win the titles and do some damage to Sheamus so that he can leave to film the movie that he's in the process of filming. SmackDown breakdown. Let's get into SmackDown. Look, I'm going to cut over a lot of stuff here because SmackDown did not blow me away with in-ring action this week. It did blow me away with something else. We'll get to that right away. Nakamura, first off, he comes out and he defeats Baron Corbin. He looks strong tonight. Corbin looked great tonight. I think tonight really went far in establishing a legitimate threat character in Baron Corbin to the world title at some point in the future with that Money in the Bank cash-in, and Nakamura looked great. Now, I'm still not a fan of Nakamura being elevated to the level he's at right now yet, but he does look great. He was very physical. The stiff knee shots, oh my gosh, it was hurting me watching it. But very exciting match. The number one contenders match for the WWE Championship was announced on this week's SmackDown. So we have Jinder Mahal in the ring. He's shooting his mouth off about, you know, ending Randy Orton's legacy and all this other nonsense. He gets interrupted by John Cena. Now, earlier in this episode, remember, I planned this episode before SmackDown went live, so that's why I did things the way I did. The music cues, here comes John Cena. He comes to the ring, talks about how he's facing Jinder Mahal at SummerSlam for the WWE Championship. Right away, if you're an avid fan, you automatically say, hey, there it was. We all saw it coming. John Cena versus Mahal. Cena will get his 17th title win and Mahal go off into the sunset. However, to my complete and thorough surprise, I said I was not a big fan of the in-ring action this week, but I was blown away by something else. And that something else is them giving away a main event pay-per-view caliber match for free for the first time ever next week on SmackDown, as Daniel Bryan came out and makes the match. John Cena does not automatically get to face Jinder Mahal. John Cena instead will face Shinsuke Nakamura next week on SmackDown Live, and the winner of that match will become the number one contender to the WWE Championship and go on to face Jinder Mahal at SummerSlam. And I expect Shinsuke Nakamura, that's my prediction, Nakamura will win the match and go on to face Mahal. John Cena will do something else of substance. Hopefully, something marquee, because I think that's what you need to keep him away from the title for a little while. You know, you're starting to get this stigma about, John Cena comes back, he's automatically in the title picture. I don't want to watch that. But if you make him earn it and work for it for a few weeks beforehand, I think people would get behind that a lot more. Now, I went out of order a little bit, sort of, kind of here, because I'm getting to my last segment on SmackDown that I want to talk about, and that is the United States Championship match that took place. So, at the very beginning of the show, I actually kicked off with this storyline. Owens in the ring, talk about how he wasn't going to defend his title tonight. AJ Styles comes out, tells him he wants his rematch. He is entitled to one. He wants his rematch tonight. They're arguing about how they're not going to wrestle tonight, and cue the music for one of the most fabulous moments I've seen on SmackDown in quite a while. The shocking return of Chris Jericho. Jericho came out. He put AJ Styles on the list. He invoked his rematch clause from when he lost the championship to Kevin Owens back, when he got laid out and stretchered out. And so we end up getting Kevin Owens walking out of the ring after Jericho and Styles have a little bit of banter back and forth. And you have Shane McMahon, fresh off his helicopter crash landing, coming out and announcing that tonight on SmackDown, Kevin Owens will defend the United States Championship against AJ Styles and Chris Jericho in a triple threat. The match was fantastic. Really good for a match that only got 18 minutes to go, and that's including commercial time. So they got 18 minutes to perform. They did a great job. The ending, seeing Kevin Owens hit a pop-up powerbomb on Chris Jericho. Going for the pin, it doesn't work out. He ends up going up to the turnbuckle and hitting an incredible 5-star frog splash onto Chris Jericho, going for the pin. But as he does that, AJ Styles slides into the ring and grabs Owens, throws him out of the ring, and then AJ Styles picks up the pin and wins the championship back a day after he lost it. We have a new United States champion in AJ Styles. Again, I didn't understand the booking. I understand the bringing back Chris Jericho thing. I have no problem with that, but I would have had Jericho win the championship if he's coming back. Having him go out there, just to burn up his rematch clause? That's kind of stupid if you ask me. And now what are you going to do at SummerSlam? You're going to have another match, yet another rematch with AJ Styles and Kevin Owens? Like, when does this stop? So if Owens wins it again, AJ will get another rematch. If AJ wins it again, Owens will get another rematch. It's getting old. And I don't want to say that about an AJ Styles match. I actually enjoy watching AJ Styles work, but I don't want to see him in the same matches over and over and over and over and over again. It gets to be monotonous. That's all the time we have for this episode. Make sure you check back with us in our next episode. We'll go over all the news and rumors from the world of professional wrestling. If there's a question, comment, concern, topic, whatever it is you want us to talk about, go into the Fro Wrestling Sound Off line at 267-642-1160. Give us your comments, concerns, whatever it is you want us to cover. We'll be more than happy to get you and your content involved in our show. Go to patreon.com/Fro Wrestling Podcast to become a member of the Fro Wrestling Podcast family. We would love to have you be a Patreon member and get your name in our shout-outs on our weekly episodes. Special thanks, as always, out to bensound.com and purpleplanet.com for producing all the music and sound effects that we used in today's show. Today's show is sponsored in part by Beazle Games. Bringing a new friend to family game night is easy with sketchy people. Showcase your artistic side in this new game from Beazle Games by going to frowrestling.com and clicking the tab in the center of the page. And to alleyrepair.com. Contact Alley Repair today for servicing of all your classic skee-ball, pinball, and arcade game needs. And while you're at it, go over to our website at frolifeplanning.com for all your higher education needs. College, university, new job, or career path, Fro Life Educational Planning takes care of that for you. Fro Life Educational Planning is for today, for tomorrow, and for life with Fro Life. I'm Fred Froelich, better known as Mr. Fro, and I want to thank you for taking a few moments with us today. If you're looking for more wrestling news and rumors, go to tsjsports.com, and you can get the latest articles that we have put up there. Until next episode, take care, everybody, and have a great night.